The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, my friends, is like the ultimate real heart-touching drama filled with twists, turns, and suspense that could rival the most gripping of novels. It's a tale of heartache and struggle, a roller coaster of emotions that keeps us on the edge of our seats. Imagine a storyline with heroes and villains, where the past is woven into the present, creating a tangled web of history and animosity. We'll explore a saga of injustice and hope, where the stakes are high and the consequences are real. This isn't just any conflict, it's the grand epic of our time, and we're about to dive deep into its intricate plot with great and smashing history. From ancient aspirations to modern-day power plays, this narrative is as rich and complex as any blockbuster film. Grab your popcorn, because we're about to witness history unfold in all its glory and agony. For centuries, Jews have faced persecution and mistreatment in various parts of the world. Their history is marked by expulsions, discrimination, and violence. In Europe during the Middle Ages, Jews were often scapegoats for societal problems, leading to their forced exodus from many countries. Even in Arab lands, Jews were not always treated fairly, and in some cases were compelled to leave. This pattern of persecution and displacement has persisted for over 2 millennia. The desire for a homeland, a place where Jews could be safe and free, has deep historical roots. Jews had been wandering as nomads for centuries, longing for a place to call their own. The idea of establishing a Jewish state gained momentum with the birth of the Zionist movement in the late 19th century. In 1897, Theodor Herzl, a Jewish journalist from Austria-Hungary, convened the first Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland, marking the official beginning of the Zionist movement. Herzl was deeply concerned about the growing anti-Semitism in Europe and believed that the only way to protect Jews from persecution was to provide them with their own nation. He argued that Palestine, with its historical significance to the Jewish people, was the ideal location for this homeland. Herzl's ideas elicited a wide range of reactions. Some Jews enthusiastically supported his vision, while others remained skeptical, deeming it unrealistic and potentially dangerous. However, as anti-Semitism intensified and more Jews experienced persecution and discrimination, the Zionist movement gained popularity. The turning point came in 1917 when the British government issued the Balfour Declaration. This historic document expressed support for the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. The declaration was a significant victory for the Zionist movement, as it laid the groundwork for the eventual creation of the State of Israel in 1948. World War I, which began in 1914, would play a pivotal role in reshaping the Middle East and setting the stage for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. At the time, the Jewish population in Palestine was relatively small, comprising around 85,000 people, or approximately 11% of the total population. The war was a global conflict, fought between two major alliances: the Central Powers, including Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria, and the Allied Powers, consisting of Great Britain, France, Russia, Italy, Romania, and other nations. It was a devastating conflict that drained the resources of all the countries involved, creating pressure to bring it to an end. Great Britain viewed the Ottoman Empire as a vulnerable point in the Central Powers structure and sought to capture it, thus defeating its allies. The Arab population under Ottoman rule had long harbored grievances, feeling that their culture and traditions were being suppressed. They resented the Turkish government's heavy-handed policies. Seeing an opportunity to weaken the Ottoman Empire, the British government made secret agreements with Arab leaders. In exchange for their support in defeating the Turks, the British promised to back Arab aspirations for independence. Simultaneously, the British government sought ways to involve the United States in the war. The U.S. was initially reluctant to participate in a European conflict, but was more inclined to do so if it meant supporting a Jewish homeland in Palestine. In 1917, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration, publicly expressing support for the establishment of a Jewish national home in Palestine. This declaration, while celebrated by many Jews, was met with outrage by Arab leaders who felt that they had been betrayed by the British. They believed that the British had made contradictory promises to both the Arabs and the Jews. To make matters more complicated, the British government signed another secret agreement with France known as the Sykes-Picot Agreement. This agreement aimed to divide the Ottoman Empire's Arab territories between Britain and France after the war, all without the knowledge or consent of the local Arab populations. It was essentially a double-dealing move by the British, sowing the seeds of mistrust. Great Britain found itself making promises to multiple parties that it could not realistically fulfill, all in pursuit of gaining their support during World War I. The British had neither the resources nor the genuine intent to grant the Arabs or the Jews their desired freedom. In the aftermath of World War I, Great Britain and France divided the Middle East into zones of influence, asserting control over the region. Britain took charge of Iraq, Palestine, and Jordan, while France established control over Syria and Lebanon. Egypt, which Britain already governed, fell under its full control, giving the British dominance over the entire Suez Canal zone. November 1918 marked the end of World War I. With the war over, Great Britain, which held control of Palestine under a League of Nations mandate, allowed a large number of Jews to immigrate to the region. This significant influx of Jewish immigrants alarmed the Palestinian Arabs, who feared being outnumbered and displaced. The Jewish population of Palestine grew from 7% in 1918 to 33% by 1930. At the same time, Adolf Hitler's rise to power in Germany and the subsequent persecution of Jews forced many to flee Germany and other European countries, with a significant number of them choosing to immigrate to Palestine. Imagine a scenario where 93% of the population belongs to one group, the Palestinians, while the remaining 7% is comprised of another group, the Jews. Now, envision a foreign power, in this case, Great Britain, allowing a substantial number of people from the second group, the Jews, to immigrate to the country. It's understandable that this situation would cause alarm and concern among the first group, the Palestinians, who would naturally fear being outnumbered and displaced. This is precisely what transpired in Palestine in the early 20th century. The British government permitted a substantial Jewish immigration to Palestine, significantly altering the demographic balance. This demographic shift heightened tensions between the two communities and laid the foundation for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Post-World War II, the United Nations faced the challenge of creating a new world order to prevent future conflicts. One of the pressing issues on the agenda was what to do with Palestine. The British, who had administered the territory under a League of Nations mandate since the end of World War I, were withdrawing from the region. In response, the UN proposed a plan to partition Palestine into two states, one for Jews and one for Arabs. The underlying principle was that both Jews and Arabs had a legitimate claim to a homeland in Palestine. However, the Palestinian Arabs rejected the plan, arguing that it was unjust to allocate such a significant portion of their land to the Jews. In 1948, as the British prepared to leave, the Jewish leadership declared independence and established the State of Israel. This proclamation led to the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, a violent conflict that resulted in the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and the birth of the Palestinian refugee crisis. The war also altered the territorial map, leading to the expansion of Israel. Efforts towards peace have been made over the years, including the Camp David Accords, the Oslo Accords, and various peace initiatives, but a lasting solution remains elusive. The issue of Jerusalem, the right of return for Palestinian refugees, and the establishment of viable borders continue to be contentious points of disagreement. As we look to the future, it is essential to acknowledge the deep-rooted history and complexity of this conflict. Only through a comprehensive understanding of its origins, challenges, and potential solutions can we hope to find a path towards a peaceful coexistence where both Israelis and Palestinians can live in security, prosperity, and harmony. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict serves as a stark reminder of the importance of diplomacy, understanding, and dialogue in addressing complex and deeply entrenched disputes. I hope you enjoy this video. If you like my content, subscribe my channel, watch for more smashing video like this. Thanks for watching.